Any rules?
Not really.
Okay. Just tell me.
As long as it's something you're okay with someone else hearing, you're fine.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's the one thing I told this room. Like, there's anything off limits.
No, not really.
No,
Make it interesting.
it's always. I'm gonna write a book.
Well, Laura, thanks for coming on today to talk with us. There are probably lots of things we could talk about because you were involved in a lot of things. But first of all, probably what I know you are into a lot is the Mill Race Marathon. So kind of tell me a little bit about what you do for that and kind of how you ended up there.
Okay. It's a little bit of a fluke that I did end up there because I'm not a runner. Full transparency, not a runner. I would rather go swing a kettlebell at the gym and get told what to do for my workout. But this is the 11th year. And so I guess 13 years ago, a friend of mine and I, he worked at Cummins at the time. We both worked out at the same gym. And we were kind of just got into this. We had a conversation and started talking about what can we do to help people be healthier. And it was back in the day where we were all wearing pedometers and tracking our steps. And so he said, I've always wanted, he's a huge marathoner. And he said, I've always wanted to have a marathon come through Columbus once they built that bridge on 3rd Street.
Oh, yeah.
Or 2nd Street, I guess. And so he had a PowerPoint. I said, let's just go ask. So we approached an executive and said, we want to put a marathon on. We want Cummins to sponsor. He said, great, let's do it this year. And we're like, well, it's going to take us a little bit longer. So yeah, it was probably a year and a half, almost 2 years before. I'm going to guess the first year was 2013. I'm going to guess it was 2011 that the initial conversation took place.
Yeah.
But I love it and I love being part of it just because it's something that you watch these kids run a kids fun run and then they run the 5K or now they're running half marathons. And it's just something in the community too. I'm basically a Columbus native and being part of the community, but it's healthy lifestyles, whether you're a runner or you just walk it.
Yeah.
And so my role is, I'm kind of the chief cat herder, but I help lead the committee, but there's such a group of phenomenal people who are all part of this.
Yeah.
Because, it takes somebody who can measure the course and it takes somebody who can coordinate everything, like all the elements that, cones on race morning or, volunteers and things like that. So I just kind of, I kind of lead that committee and then coordinate with the city. So it's been awesome.
Yeah.
And it's introduced me to so many people and so many stories. Ryan, I could tell you so many stories from the race, like feel good stories, proposals at the finish line, people who've kind of gone the wrong way and got their lives back and trained and did a half marathon. There's just countless stories.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
So
that's such a huge undertaking. I can't even imagine just thinking, well, let's put on a marathon. What does that involve?
Lesson learned. So when we did start this in like 2011, we had 24 people, I bet, that we would gather in the room and say, what do we need to do? And quickly learned that was too many people. You don't need 24 people, probably a dozen.
Yeah.
And you just need people to each have their role, whether it's the volunteering or the expo or the packet pickup. You kind of just start to hone in, but we definitely kind of learned by the School of Hard Knocks of what does it really take? But then that's when you go figure out people who have done it in other places.
Yeah.
And you just ask.
Yep.
It's a little bit like life. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
No.
But yeah, who's an expert that we can go ask? But yeah, sometimes I don't remember or really think about how big it is, but I still can't believe it's been 11 years. So it's pretty awesome.
That's a lot. So, awesome. I mean, you talked about some of those stories. Is there a story in particular that's kind of stuck with you from all the years doing it?
Yeah, besides those couple, there was, I think this was maybe the first year, if not the second year. I'll never forget a gentleman emailed from North Carolina. He had he found our race just on the internet and said, I'm going to come. You know, he got a hold of us probably early in the year and said, I'm going to come and I'm going to bring my son and he's 8. Can he run the full with me? I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
well, if you're, I mean, you have to, you know, as a minor, he needs to register that or, you know, like give it the waiver or whatever. But he tells his story. The reason why he picked ours is because over a year before, I don't remember if he had a health issue or something. And he said he'd, you know, been way overweight and he'd lost like, it was something way over 100 pounds. And he like, this was his goal, was to come and run the full in our race.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so you just, you know, you get these emails or you get these stories from folks. The other one is a gentleman who's won more than once, who comes from New York and he runs races like the size of ours because he is fast enough to win. And he uses that for supporting his family.
Oh, wow.
Whether they have a need, I don't remember what it was, but
Yeah.
it's just like those little, I mean, they're heart-tugging stories where that's why we do it. That's why the committee of us that are together and it takes a village, that's why we do what we do, because it just makes a difference, whether it's somebody who every year says, I'm gonna run this 5K every year,
Yeah.
or you know, you've got the people from out of town who just find us by happenstance and come run the race. And so, yeah, getting to meet those folks and like actually make a connection and see them come back maybe in subsequent years, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Crazy. And I'm sure, I mean, how many thousands of people running every year that there are so many stories
Yeah.
through all of that you probably don't hear a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah, I missed the engagement I missed engagement. I just got told that one. I didn't get to see that one in person.
yeah. So this may be similar, but maybe something different.
Yeah.
Over your time doing it, what's kind of been your favorite part of planning the marathon? There's a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it's probably my community engagement. And so it's because this is the other thing that makes me so proud to be and live in Columbus in Indiana. I mean, there's lovely towns in Indiana, but
Yeah.
like the private and public partnerships that come together to let us do this, you know, like the fire department and the police department and the state police. And I mean, I'm going to leave out people, but the sheriff's department, they all just come together and it's, you know, it's getting to be kind of the same group of people that we meet. And now because it's a well-oiled machine, we meet like 3 times throughout the summer
Oh, yeah.
leading up to September. But I think that's one of my favorite. It's just those connections that I've made and the people that I've met. Like, you know, I mean, I have lived here all my life. I've worked at Cummins for 28 years and my family's all here pretty much. And so, but I was like, I've just met this whole other population of people,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just, and watching this community come together to put it on, it's pretty amazing, you know? And
Yeah.
I'm like, I always dreamed, like I did run the Indianapolis Mini years ago. And all of the people that run along that course, it just becomes an event on that Saturday morning in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Like it's a party. These people go out on their street and they've got their little, you know, their noisemakers or they're making breakfast for the part, you know, and they're just cheering the participants on this whole route. And I was like, it'll take years to do that. But I was like, it would be so cool if we got that even just like a 10th of that in Columbus.
Yeah.
You know, that everybody knows the 4th Saturday of September, like, go out and cheer on these people who are walking and running past your house or through your neighborhood.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah.
So this is a pretty easy question, but I'm just wondering how many volunteers generally you have in a year. It seems like it would take so many.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And we've changed the course. So the first couple years, it went through the Mill Race Park.
Oh, yeah.
And but then we had the train incident. So there's a couple, the first year the lead runners went off course. And which I think was a bit of divine intervention because a local person ended up winning the full marathon that year.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he did. I won't name names. That was funny. Well, it was not for them, but it was kind of funny. When you get the thing on the radio that says, the lead runners are at 25th and home, we're like, that's not the course.
Uh-huh.
So that was a bit of a snafu. The second year was when the train came through the park. And we still had the race had just started. So you got like this, like an aerial view would have been fascinating because you have this sea of humans running around the Mill Race Park, getting ready to come out there at 5th Street, and the train is coming.
Oh my gosh.
And so he ends up stopping because these the marathon, these they're people, they're crazy.
Yeah.
They're running across the steps, they're running underneath, and they're running around the front of the train. The conductor's like screaming, yelling for the police. Well, of course, the police are like all right there. So that's I've now got myself sidetracked, but the third year we just wished for boring. We just said we just need boring
Yeah,
this
that
year.
would be okay.
So the volunteers, it takes, oh my gosh, I will miss the number, but it's hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds. But as we've changed the course, and last year we kind of changed it to where we could condense some things, but the community comes together. I mean, a couple years we're like, oh my goodness, we're not going to get enough volunteers. And then it seems like right before the race,
Yeah.
like people just come in,
Yeah.
businesses or whatever. It's just, and that's a cool thing to be part of too. Like you don't have to be a runner or a walker, like just volunteer
Yeah.
and be part of it.
Yeah. Well,
That's what I try to
I will say, like, I am obviously not a runner, but we've done video for a couple of years for it, and it's just a super cool thing to kind of experience and be a part of. So I would echo that. Like, you don't have to run necessarily, but to kind of witness it and be a part of it, cheer people on, like, and especially even the after party is cool. And with food, live music, a truck giveaway, which is always a huge thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But so I love what you guys have done with that, but I also know, even though working full time at Cummins, doing the marathon, there are also other things that you're doing as well. Yes. So what all else are you a part of in kind of helping, planning things in the community?
Yeah, my family's getting after me for not saying no.
It's hard.
So this year there's a mayoral race, which is pretty exciting. Jim Lenup has been awesome for the last 8 years, and good for him. He's going to retire and enjoy his grandkids.
Yep.
And that's pretty cool. But so Mary Furdon is one of the candidates. So I'm helping, a shameless plug. But I've gotten to know Mary in the last 7.5 years because of the marathon stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's just pretty cool to, she asked me, she said, would you help if I decide to run? And again, I can't say no. So, but to me, like when I find a cause that I'm passionate about and I believe in this candidate and for the community and like what her plan is and what she knows. And so I did say, I'm not going to lead any like particular committee on the campaign. Said I have to draw a line there because I do have a job and a family, but it's been fun. And in that one, I have been more of, hey, where do you need me? Plug me in. I will be arms and legs for you. Or if I can have an idea or something, I'm like, just use me kind of as extra set of hands and feet. But, so it's been fun though. It's gone by fast. I can't believe the election's next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're coming up. Like, I'm like, how did these, I don't know. I feel like I've talked to her about it for a lot of months. And so, time just goes by too fast. But yeah, that one I didn't take a specific role. I just said, pull me in and use me where you can and I'll help.
Yeah.
With, where my strengths lie. I'll definitely be a cheerleader. So.
Man, that's cool. So you're obviously giving a lot of time to different things in the community. Is there, I guess I'm just wondering, is there something you can point to that kind of brought you to that place? Because obviously there's plenty of opportunity for people to give back to the community and commit their time to different volunteer things and things like that. But a lot of people don't do that. So I don't know, maybe growing up or something that you remember that really has kind of grown that desire in you, or just that willingness to be a part of the community in so many different ways.
I was thinking about that as I was like, what's he going to ask me? I was like, what did I do? Because, I think that's where it gets a little funny. Like, I grew up here. I was born in Bloomington, but we moved here when I was 3.
Oh, okay.
And I went to IU, so I'm like Hoosier born and bred. And I've because I've been here a lot, but I've traveled some, and I think I don't know if it was just my my parents and my sister, we have a small family, and I was always involved in the church. I played golf in high school. After I came back and I was working at Columbus East said, "Hey, would you coach the golf team? 'Cause
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the golf coach is going to retire." And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like, because I'm not like I didn't play golf in college. That's where my game is. I'm not a strong golfer. And I was like, "Well, that might be kind of fun." And I kind of think maybe that's where a little bit just got me a little bit involved in. I had a blast. I did that for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And I just, those girls were like, I didn't have kids at the time, or maybe I kind of did halfway through, but those girls were like, and now these people are all grown up and have kids of their own and they're
Yeah.
working at Cummins. I'm like, I'm old because I see all these golfers, but that was a wonderful experience. And I think, and then, different things in church, you help out with youth group or, and so I think that's where I've started to kind of get this really subtle of, I just wanted to give back or be involved. Like I said, I can't say no. So I just love being involved.
Yeah.
And I hope that my kids will all kind of like see that and say, it's not a bad thing, because you do get exposed to different things. You meet new people and wow. And where you can pitch in and help somebody that they may not even know, you were a difference for them.
Yeah.
That's to me, like, that's just awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's amazing to see all those things. I know most people probably don't know what you're involved in. A lot of people probably don't know you, but know a lot of the things that you do. You're just
that's okay.
one behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, it's awesome. So many of those things have such a big impact in Columbus and just
Thank you.
a lot of cool things about what makes Columbus good.
Yeah.
What makes it great to live here.
That's awesome.
So I guess the one thing I'm thinking is the marathon, the Mill Race Marathon is obviously one of the bigger things you're involved in, and certainly trying to make sure people know about it to run, recruiting volunteers and those kind of things. When has all of that already started happening for this year? I assume.
Yeah. So and I appreciate what you said because I think, you hear comments from people about the races becoming more well known and not just because if you participate, but it's, and I've got people who, I have friends now who are retiring and saying, "Hey, I want to help. Where can I help?" And so I think we get those volunteers, but it's kind of year round. It does slow down, kind of after the race in September. But then I think the biggest thing we're learning now, especially going through the pandemic. So we had it virtual one year. 2020, we did not have a race in person, but we did still hold it. We sent out shirts, we sent out medals for virtual, which was an interesting kind of process. And then coming back from it's been interesting watching how does it come back? How do people return? I think in 21, even some people were still a little tentative. Some people just wanted to get back out. And so now we're really learning, especially me, is what do we need to do? Like we need to build up our community, like who's succession planning, but how do you promote it? And how do you kind of build that, just get people to come back? Because some people want to just try all different races, which I appreciate.
Sure.
But it's kind of that now. How do you build that? How do you keep building it so that they come back, or you introduce it to new people? I mean, it's been amazing when you look at some of the demographics of we've got a lot of states represented in each year's race, and several countries. Like you'll have people who moved away and maybe they live in the UK now or something, and they come back and visit their family and come back on race weekend. But it's now what's the sustainability? How do you build that plan?
Sure.
Is what that's definitely something that's kind of in the front of our, not in the front of the mind, but it's like there.
Yeah.
And how do you keep building it? So, because there's a lot of races in Indiana and a lot of them have been around for a long time. And so, and this is Columbus is just such a beautiful place. And just a hint, I believe the full marathon will go back through Millrace Park this year, which is awesome. Awesome, because it is not your run-of-the-mill race, and it's we need to get back in the park. So I'm excited about that. We'll still bypass the trains. We will not have a fear of the trains coming through all across the course. But and just keep on doing things like that. Like, how do you make the course to where it's especially like if you got the elite runners who are coming back to qualify for Boston, or you just got the people who are, I'm going to run this every year because I want the medal every year.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
But it's like the $10,000 question that I don't know the answer to yet, but keep working on it.
Well, so obviously for people to sign up for the race,
Yep.
millracemarathon.com.
Yep.
Right? What about if they do want to volunteer, want to be involved in another way? Same place?
Same place, yeah. Volunteering link is on there. Register is on there. All the information about like the events. We are now on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So we'll start ramping up kind of the social media post here as we head into the kind of the racing season. We'll be at the Indy Mini Expo, which is always that's like 45,000 participants in that race. I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing ever. I've never seen anything so big, especially having run it myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I think that season kind of starts here this month. And so yeah, everything millracemarathon.com, or if there's questions, there's a link on there. And so they can send questions and we get back to them right away. And if people want to like be more involved, I would encourage people like reach out to us, because that gets back to my, not everybody that's on the committee. Most everybody's been on it for the last 11 years.
Sure.
Not everybody will want to stay for another 11. Some may, but we need to work on how do we start building up the next generation of,
for sure.
Planners and everything else. But also participants, volunteers, and
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I think we'll wrap up there. We're looking forward to another race this year.
Good weather.
Thanks for coming to talk about it.
Oh.
And maybe we'll have you back again to talk about, we'll see how the mayoral race goes, right?
Exactly. There will be something else, Ryan, I promise.
There will be something.
Yeah,
awesome.
No doubt.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.